It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago and 7 p.m. in Philadelphia. Hello, everybody. This is Mad Dog DeCipio, and tonight is Tuesday. You know what that means. It's What's the Buzz. Tonight, oh boy, I think I dug myself a hole tonight, Mikey Messier, tonight. I feel like Michael Corleone in The Godfather. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Right.
Tonight, the best and worst of wrestling announcers. And to this, I will acquiesce to my able-bodied co-host, Mike, the movie maker Messier. Mikey, what the hell did I get myself into tonight?
Well, we're gonna have some fun, Angelo. This will be a fun show, and everyone that's listening is welcome to chime in with their opinions on the YouTube video comment section or wherever you're watching. And like I said, it's strictly opinion, it's strictly fun, and there's no blood, no foul. But I've made two lists, Angelo. I've made the list of my personal favorite 20 best and my personal least favorite 20 worst. And I figured what we could do is we could start at number 20 through 15 on the worst list, and then go back and forth between the worst and the best by 5 increments, and analyze each guy as we go along, or each person, I should say, because there might be a woman or two on these lists too.
Oh, terrific. Yeah,
okay.
There were a couple of women around, weren't there?
Yeah, there's been some female commentators. Renee Paquette, as of note, in recent years, but there's been some other female announcers.
Sure. You know, almost forgot about the cat. Almost forgot about Renee Young. Then I realized, oh, wait a minute. That's Moxley's wife. I think this,
yes,
right? Am I right? Okay.
Yeah, Renee Moxley, Renee Paquette.
I can't keep track of all these people.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Keep track of them. All right, who you got on your list here? Walk me through this.
Okay, number 20 on my worst is actually kind of a favorite, but I had to put him on the worst list because at the time he was in his prime, he was kind of universally ribbed or mocked, whatever you want to call it. And this is a guy who's really from a first-class family, David Crockett. David Crockett of the Crockett family, Crockett Promotions. He was always very babyface enthusiastic, always cheering on the Rock and Roll Express, Magnum TA, and Dusty. And he sounded a lot of times like a cheerleader. And he had to be kind of reined in by Tony Schiavone quite a bit, or Bob Caudell. And like I said, it's kind of a thing where he's number 20 on the worst list because I wanted to get him on a list. I wanted to talk about him, but he wasn't that bad.
I almost forgot about him there.
Yeah.
You did mention a name though that's actually on one of my lists, Bob Caudle.
Yes, he's great.
Bob Caudle, he's on my, when I get to my turn, I'll talk about it. But right now, let's go through your 20 worst.
Okay, number 19 is early Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff improved, but in the AWA and his early WCW days, he was really over his head. And you gotta give him credit because he was probably the most improved over the years. But when he was young, they just called him the human Ken doll. Like he really didn't know what he was talking about, and it showed. And he was nervous.
Still doesn't.
Yeah. So
he still doesn't, Mikey.
I think by the time he got to Nitro, he was better. Yeah, he got better. Number 18 might surprise you, and I have a couple back-to-back that are going to surprise you. Number 18 on my worst wrestling announcers list, and just as a side note, Howard Finkel is exempt from both lists because he was more of a ring announcer, not a commentator.
Yeah, I'll give you that one, absolutely.
Fink is definitely... Yeah, Fink would be the number 1 ring announcer. But as far as commentators and backstage interviewers... For these lists, I'm saying number 18 worst is actually Bill Watts.
You know what's funny? He's on my list too. Cowboy Bill Watts, I wrote down. He was a great worker, but for shit on a microphone. You know what my problem with Watts on a microphone is twofold. Number one, he forgot he was on the microphone supposed to call a wrestling match. Right. He got into promoter / boss mode way too
Yes.
often, in my opinion. The other thing with Bill Watts is, in as much as he knows wrestling, he knew virtually nothing about what the announcers actually do. And I was
Right.
shocked to hear, like, it actually came through in the way he announced. If you feel like, different about that, I respect that. But I mean, I got to tell you, Cowboy Bill Watts is on my list for that very reason.
Yes. So Bill Watts is number 18, and similar but different. Number 17. These are my personal least favorite, worst uh, wrestling announcers. 17 is a great wrestler, but not a great announcer. Vern Gagne. Vern Gagne.
Vern. I have to say, I agree with you. Again, very, very close to the Bill Watts style. He's the promoter, the boss. He didn't really understand what his announcers actually did.
Right.
And to his credit, and I know that he's on your shit list here, but to his credit, I even got to give Eric Bischoff kudos for at least trying to learn.
Yes.
Yeah,
because he improved.
Watts, yeah, from Vern and Bill Watts. They seemed and it's just, again, just my observation, because I'm an old fart. But my observation is that they were, like, kind of out of the loop, really. Like, they didn't really know. As a fan, that really shocks me, that these guys don't know what their announcers are doing, or like how they do it.
Right.
But at
And
least I
and
gotta say,
sometimes
Bill, and I'm sorry, not Bill Watts, but at least Eric Bischoff, he tried. I'll give him, at least
right.
he was bad, but he tried.
I think the thing with Vern and Bill and some of the other promoters who also did announcing was that, especially the ones that used to be wrestlers, they were still trying to get themselves over instead of the
Oh,
talent.
always, always. Yep, that's Cowboy Bill.
Yeah. Here's number 16 choice, and I have a few on my list of the 20. He was not a full-time announcer, but he would do enough guest spots on primetime wrestling and from the Spectrum and the house shows. And I always thought he was pretty bad at this, and I don't even think he was that good of a manager. He really peaked as a tag team wrestler. The luscious one, Johnny V. When he did color commentary, I just didn't think it was quite. I didn't think it was good.
It wasn't believable.
Right.
To me, it wasn't believable. Again, great in the ring, but like a fish out of water, man. Like, not in his element at all.
Right.
What else you got,
Okay.
Mike?
Well, we're going to switch over to the just to mix it up. We'll go to the bottom 5 on the best list now.
Okay.
So number 20 on the best list, he could have been higher, and I really struggled with where to put this guy, but he did make the best list, and a lot of talented people did not make my best list. Taz, for his work in WWE, especially SmackDown. He's the only color guy that made Michael Cole tolerable to me. He's also worked for AEW, and he also had a pretty good stint with TNA Wrestling. And I just think Taz, as far as a worker turned announcer, I think Taz has done quite well. I like Taz as an announcer.
I have nothing to say about that, because I too have Taz on my good list.
Okay. Number 19, and this might surprise you and surprise, I'm an old school wrestling fan. I've got a picture of Road Warrior Hawk on my t-shirt here.
Mm-hmm.
But number 19 is a modern day guy who I actually surprised myself. I have to give it up for him. I lovingly call him Tattoo Neck. Corey Graves. I put Corey Graves as my number 19.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah, he was. I'll give you a little insight. Corey is number 2 on my shit list.
All right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I surprised myself.
I'll tell you what when we get to my list. I'll tell you why I did that.
All right. But I think Corey Graves, of all the guys now, he kind of makes Michael Cole somewhat tolerable. And I do respect that he's a former worker who got injured. Corey Graves was a worker. He got injured and he found himself as a commentator. Number 18 is old school. And this guy had the best tag team, had the best tagline, I should say. Promotional consideration brought to you by the following. Lord Alfred Hayes is on my best list.
Yeah,
I just thought he was fun. And
No
he was kind of a
argument there
tweener.
either.
Yeah, he was kind of a tweener in that he was officially a babyface announcer, but a lot of times he dipped into heel observations, which so I kind of like that.
Well, you know, he was a heel wrestler.
Right.
Oh, Leon's with us. Leon Barfield. Here you go, Mikey. Leon's got something to say. Gordon Solie was great. Buddy Colt was a great wrestler, but shit on the mic.
Nice, nice. Well, Leon, I think I don't. Leon, I'm glad that you're here, buddy, and feel free to comment more. I'll go to number 17. Number 17 might surprise you, Angelo, for my best list. This guy was kind of the Vince McMahon Jr. of Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, not the Netflix series recently, but the original 1980s, 1986 to 1990, I believe. And also, there was a follow-up called, what was it? It was called WOW or POW, Powerful Women of Wrestling, which was David McClain. David McClain. I actually thought he was legit. I have a lot of respect. I really like to see a movie. I guess I could watch the Netflix series. I didn't really like it the first season that I watched, but I think David McClain's an interesting character, and I thought that he did a good job of getting his women's wrestling promotion over. And I thought he was a good play-by-play guy.
I thought it was brilliant on a couple of levels, but I'll just keep it to one or two. I think what he did was brilliant in that he knew his product because he put it together. He knew how to promote it, but he also knew how not only to get himself over, but he got the promotion as a whole over. And I think that was the key to his microphone skill. He knew how to get everybody over, including himself. And if you're going to be a stick man, that's microphone 101. Get him over, get yourself over, get the crowd over, get the show over, because that's what you're there for. Baby face or heel, your job is to get everybody over.
I think you're right, Angelo, and I think that he had the right level of enthusiasm where he was excited to be there and excited to present this Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, but he wasn't over the top a whole lot. Speaking of gorgeous women in wrestling, my number 16 pick might surprise people. She was more of a backstage interviewer, and she was always being put on special assignment, but she did do some color commentary with Jim Ross on the main event show. The beautiful Missy Hyatt, I have as number 16.
She was here 2 months ago.
Yeah, I was actually at a wedding. I was at a wedding last summer. I was the best man at a wedding, and Missy Hyatt was there in attendance, and she's a really nice lady. And
Missy's not all that far from you're near Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, I'm in Jacksonville. Yeah.
All right. Well, she's not. She's like 10 minutes from you. She's not far at all.
I think she's one of those people that I wish she and WCW didn't have a falling out when they did in 93 or 94, because I would have liked to have seen her stick around for the Nitro era. I think she really could have contributed to
You know what? I absolutely concur with that. Missy is one of those rare women in wrestling that knows her shit.
Right.
Can
you imagine her with the NWO?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I would have loved to see Missy more on the microphone. I'll tell you what I would have, and I think McMahon God love him. I think Vince missed the boat. He had a chance to hire her,
She was
and
there for one taping.
hmm, say
She
again?
she taped one. She taped four episodes of Missy's Manor that she
Yeah,
released. That was with the WWF. She did one day of taping, and she actually they gave her the tapes, and she had them on her YouTube channel about 10 years ago for a while.
yeah. Well, and I was going to go there, and I'm glad you did. She's really good. She's good in front of a camera. She's good behind the microphone. Like I said, one of those rare people, and I'm glad you have her on your list because she's one of those rare people that's really, really good. She knows the business. She knows wrestling. She knows the holds. She knows the personalities. She knows all of these guys, all of them, because she's one of those people, that rare exception to the rule that she keeps her nose to the grindstone. She knows a little bit about what's going on everywhere, which is very, very cool. And that's why I think she's well versed.
Yeah,
Yeah, Vince had a chance to hire her, and he lowballed her so badly, Mikey. Oh my God, he lowballed her so badly. She was like, I can bring, you don't know what I can bring to you. And he
right.
really had no idea what she could bring. But boy, did he find out when he didn't hire her and she went
Yes.
elsewhere. Man, talk about,
Yeah, she was
missing the
great.
boat. Go ahead, Mikey.
Okay, so going back to the bad side of campus, the not so great list. These are back to my 15 through 11 on my not so good list, or my and once again, this is all in good fun. There's nothing personal against any of these people. Number 15 on my worst list is Steve Mongo McMichael, and I know that Mongo's had some health issues, but he really wasn't good on Nitro. He came in
Horrible.
as a wrestler. Yeah, he was bad and he had his little dog Pepe, and he was always calling everybody sweetheart, like, which I always thought was kind of weird. But
Yeah.
nothing, nothing against. I hope is Mongo still with us, because he was very sick a
I
couple of years ago.
I don't think he is. And I'll tell you here in just a second, I don't think he's with us any longer.
Yeah, well, rest
Um,
in peace.
yeah, let me see something. I was funny because he's on my list too.
Yeah, like I said,
Um,
it's nothing personal. But I thought he was okay as a horseman. Um, he was great as a football player, actually. Actually, he passed away in April of 2025, April 23rd. So rest
yeah,
in peace, Mongo. But
yeah,
I think Mongo would appreciate being mentioned, at least, right? At least we're talking about him.
yeah. He was 67 when he passed. He had a hell of a career in football, which
Yes,
was shocked me that he didn't parlay his talent into like a football play by play.
right.
Why? Like, I don't know who's. Do you happen to know, Mikey, whose idea it was to bring, an ex-football player behind a wrestling microphone desk?
I believe Mongo did WrestleMania 11. I think he was one of the buddies of Lawrence Taylor in the corner of LT. They had like five or six football players.
You're absolutely right. I
And
have
then I
forgot
think,
all about that.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
somehow someone on that show must have gotten him in touch with Bischoff, because I believe Bischoff's the one that wanted Mongo for Nitro.
Yeah.
And of course, at the was it the Great American Bash '96 in Baltimore, where he turned on Kevin Green and joined the Horsemen for a couple of years?
Yep, sure did.
Yeah.
That was
So
horrible on many
yeah,
levels.
right,
Aw-
right.
Awful. What
But
else you got for me?
well, number 14 is a guy who everyone owes a big debt of gratitude to. He will go banana for this one, but he has a commentator. I don't think he was that great. Pat Patterson.
Pat, when you said banana, I knew exactly what you're going with it.
Yeah,
The crowd
yeah.
went banana.
When I first started watching
Rest his
wrestling,
soul, Pat Patterson, great Finnish guy, hell of a
yes,
wrestler, not real good on the mic.
no, he invented the Royal Rumble, which is awesome. Um, But when I first started watching wrestling, he was the color commentator with Vince McMahon Jr. And I just don't think Pat was very good. And when he eventually got replaced by Jesse Ventura and Bobby Heenan, that was a big step up.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
My next three are all of the similar theme and all around the same time frame, the early '90s. These were all golden era WWF mid card, or not mid card, but actually main event guys from the '80s who got brought in as color commentating with Vince McMahon on the weekly shows in the '90s. And I don't think any of the three were very good. So number 13, I have Jim the Anvil Neidhart. He had a stint as a commentator, and he mostly just laughed all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Oh God.
wasn't good. Number 12, I have the Macho Man, Randy Savage. I don't think he was a good commentator either. And McMahon wanted him to be a commentator, not a wrestler, and he was for several years, but he really
I,
wasn't very good
I
at it.
think yeah, and you know what? And he was a hell of a worker. Again,
Yep,
a guy, a fish out of water. I don't know. Well, I mean, I do know why Vince wanted him there. The truth be known, and you know this, Mikey. This is just the way it is. Vince wanted him there because he had to find a way to get value for his money. Plus, he did not want to lose the Slim Jim contract.
right.
And Randy
Yeah,
Savage owned owned that Slim Jim contract because the deal that Randy made was with Slim Jim, not with the WWE and Slim Jim.
right.
And people don't get
Right.
that. And that's why Vince, and for Vince to do that, just to get value for his money, they could have found some other way to utilize Randy other than to make him look like a fool on the announce desk. You know?
Yeah. The
'Cause
only time, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
Well,
I was done.
the only time it really served anything was when Savage and Jake the Snake had their feud going, and like Macho Man was doing the commentary, and Jake the Snake was kind of goading him to get into it with them. And but you know, it wasn't worth it because there was other choices they could have gone with, and Macho Man was a wrestler. He needed to be in the ring, not behind the desk.
Exactly. I'm with you.
And okay, so number 11, fitting into that same role as Jim Neidhart and Randy Savage, the former wrestler turned commentator, and he actually did a lot of commentary with Randy Savage. I have number 11, Roddy Piper. I feel like I know he did the Georgia Championship Wrestling as a heel. He even did that before Jesse Ventura did. But in the WWF, he was so spastic and so over the top and so almost hysterical doing commentary. It wasn't
And
very
I
fun to listen
and
to.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think I know why. It took somebody like Gordon Solie, and it took somebody like Dusty Rhodes, who often would banter back and forth with Gordon because they were buddies. And I think why Roddy was so good with WCW or even NWA, if you want to go Georgia Championship Wrestling back in the day, is that he had somebody he could work off of. Remember,
Right.
Roddy needed a straight man because he was the comic of the two. So Gordon Solie was the perfect foil for Roddy Piper. And I think what happened when Roddy got to WWF, again, a great personality, a guy who could work boom, boom off the cuff, but a fish out of water because this was a much more frenetic environment than WCW / Georgia Championship Wrestling back in
Yes.
the day. NWA, if you want to get, Crockett's NWA.
Right.
But I think you're 1,000% on the money when you say Roddy Piper. and I think they should have just find something. And they're having that problem today with people, Mikey. They don't know
Yeah,
what to do with the talent they have. And like what I say, Mikey, the more things change, the more they stay the same, right?
right. Yeah, and it's too bad. And there was some superstars, I think wrestling superstars, where you had Vince McMahon, Roddy Piper, and Randy Savage were your commentating team, and that was a tough listen for a couple of years there. That was
Mm-hmm.
tough. Okay, let's go back to the good list now. So these are we're down to the top 15 on my favorite list. Once again, these are strictly my opinions, and Angelo has got his opinions, and everybody's got their opinions, which is great. But number 15 is kind of the guy that gets overlooked a lot in Memphis, Dave Brown. Not Lance Russell, but Dave Brown. I thought Dave Brown was quite good and quite overlooked.
I agree with you. In fact, you're going to see Dave Brown tonight with Lance Russell.
Nice.
Dave was, and for those of you listening and watching, and I thank you, and Mikey and I thank you for listening and watching. Dave Brown and Lance Russell were thrust, and I think they did a fucking amazing job. They were thrust into calling wrestling matches, but these guys were legit news people. Lance Russell was a news anchor. Dave Brown was the weather guy in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know what? You know the story about how he got the job?
Well, let's hear it.
The announcer, the play-by-play announcer never showed up. Never showed up. And it was somebody, Jerry Lawler told the story. It was somebody that Bill Dundee hired. He said to Lawler, I got a guy. He's perfect. He's a great announcer. And they told him his name. I don't even know who the hell the guy was. Told him his name, told Lawler, oh, he'll be there at 6 o'clock. Show starts at 8, whatever. You know, he knows the business. You don't have to go through anything. The guy never shows up, Mikey. So
Right.
they called, luckily, the television studio was right up the street where they did the news. And it was just so happened that the 6 o'clock news was over at 6:30. Right. Remember, there was only 30 minutes of news back then, not like 13 hours like I have now.
Yeah.
So Dave Brown leaves the studio, gets his behind over to the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis.
Right.
Like 20 minutes to spare. He gets in there, they fill him in. Lance Russell. You got a mentor like Lance Russell. He just, let me tell you something, kids. Sit there, just follow me. That's half the battle. Follow the leader. Let the guy who knows, let him talk, and you just make yourself look good. Get yourself over by going, oh man, that's right. That's right, Lance. Pop, 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 pop. And you could get over that way, and people will think, oh, this guy's really good, knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And he didn't say the word. He hasn't said a fucking word. Oh,
well,
man.
Dave Brown gets his flowers.
Yep.
Yeah. Dave Brown gets his respect. So number 14, speaking of Memphis, I went with mostly because of his days on Monday Night Raw with Jim Ross. I went with Jerry the King Lawler. I thought during the Attitude Era, he was the right guy for the job. He had the dirty jokes with the puppies and everything else. And I had, the King, as a person, who knows, but as a fun color commentator, the right guy at the right time, Jerry Lawler did a great job at his era.
No argument here. 1,000%. I absolutely concur.
Okay. Number 13. This guy was more a legend, more behind the scenes, basically backstage interviewer, more so than commentator, and also for the house show promotions. Mean Gene Okerlund.
Ah, here you go. Yep.
Yep. Number 12, and this I've got two back-to-back that are from the.
Hold up, Mikey. Back up just a second.
Sure.
Where was the first time you heard Mean Gene do play-by-play?
The first time I can remember hearing him is when he came in with Hogan in '84 in the WWF, because I believe Hogan basically, as a caveat to coming back to New York in the WWF to be champion, he brought with him Mean Gene Okerlund, Bobby the Brain Heenan, B. Brian Blair, Dr. D. David Schultz. That was like the Hogan crew. So all those
Yeah,
guys in one fell swoop. In fact, there's a famous taping, I think in St. Louis, of all those guys making their debut. Like, and Paul Orndorff was in that mix too. They all came in like December of '83, January of '84. They all came in as one big group. And Mean
yeah.
Gene, that's the first time I saw Mean Gene was with that. But I know he did AWA for years too.
I first heard Gene Okerlund call a wrestling match in 1971 at the AWA under Vern Gagne's American Wrestling Alliance. He was, you're going to love this team. He was with Lee Marshall. It was Gene Okerlund and Lee Marshall doing ringside play-by-play. And I want to tell you what, if you closed your eyes, you thought you were listening to an old-fashioned boxing match from the 1940s, because both of those guys had incredibly like bravado voices. They both had, really good deep voices. But when Okerlund, Mean Gene left Minnesota with Hogan and Bobby Heenan and a couple of other incidental people, when he got to New York, I think he assimilated very, very well, because it was not only was it really good timing, but you got to remember who was still alive at the time. Vince Sr. was still alive at the time, and Vince Sr. had a really, really keen eye and ear for who could do what, where, and when. I think Junior got a little bit of that, but he was not honed like the old man was. Not like Senior was that at all. But I'm going to tell you something. I think Gene Okerlund and Lee Marshall together, that was the dream team of wrestling announcers back in Minnesota.
Yes.
And I think you're 1,000% when you say Gene Okerlund and you said Bobby Heenan too, but I got something. I'll show you a little something about Bobby Heenan in a little bit.
I haven't. Okay, number 12 on my best list is from Texas, Bill Mercer.
Ah, there you go.
World Class Championship Wrestling.
WCCW, world class.
Was it you that told me that Bill Mercer did the play-by-play for when Jack Ruby shot the guy that shot JFK?
I have the video, yeah. You're going to see it when we do our Kennedy assassination show.
Right. So Bill Mercer, I mean, that's about as legit as you get.
His actual job, Mikey, Bill Mercer's job was court reporter. He was the court television reporter for the city of Dallas. That was his official title. So anything that was happening at that courthouse, Bill Mercer was the guy.
Yes.
He was, they knew, man. Mercer's got the scoop. Bill Mercer, he was the guy. The kind of called the, he actually put the microphone in front of Lee Harvey Oswald's face and said, asked him something about, you've been charged with killing the president. And Oswald said, I've not heard that. That's the first time I'm hearing that, was in the hallway and blah, blah, blah. And all this other crap. But yeah, Bill Mercer for sure. What else you got, Mike?
Number 11, it kind of, in my memory of things, Angelo, it's like Bill Mercer handed the baton to this gentleman, because I don't recall them really working together or at the same time very much, although I could just be forgetting. But Mark Lawrence, also from World Class, and pretty much in the same spot of we think of Joey Styles as a one-man commentating team, but both of these guys, Mercer and Mark Lawrence, did it a decade earlier. They were both doing one-man commentating.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mark,
Well, you
Mark
remember
Lawrence,
something too, back in Texas, it was before it became, before it blew up, it was really localized, it was regionalized. Texas alone had like 9 full-time territories, and
right?
every territory had their own team. We could have, Mike, you and I could have did this whole show tonight about announcers in Texas, brother,
Yes,
because there were that many of them. But I think
that's
we're
right.
doing very, very well. Yeah, hell, that was Mark Laurent, Bill Mercer, absolutely. I'll give you one
Okay,
from Texas if you want to, if
sure.
you can remember this one.
Yep.
Joe Blanchard,
Tully
Tully's
Blanchard's
father.
father. Yes, yes,
Not only was he the promoter of Southwest Championship Wrestling, he was the announcer.
yes.
He did the play-by-play. Well, one of the people that did play-by-play. I
And I
forget
think
who
it's.
the other guy. You know who the other guy was, Mikey?
I can't remember. I can't remember. But I feel like that is such an interesting thing when you're the promoter and also the announcer, the commentator. That can go one of two ways, and it can go the Bill Watts for Gagne way, or it can go like Joe Blanchard, like in the positive way. You know what I mean? There's not much in between. Let me get to my bad list. So now we're in the top 10 of the bad list, 10 through 6 on the not so great, my least favorite, list. Number 10, and people might actually forget that he even did this, but he did it on Sunday nights before he started wrestling. And he wasn't even a full-time wrestler, but he was a full-time son. Shane McMahon. I have
Yes,
10.
sir.
He was not good on what was that show called on Sunday nights on USA Network?
Oh,
Sunday Night Heat.
Sunday Night Heat. Well, there was Shotgun Saturday night and Sunday Night Heat. Yeah.
Yeah, and Shane McMahon was just really not a very good commentator, and so eventually he started wrestling. But he
Yeah.
was too hyper for my taste, and just not very good at it. And
Can I tell you why I believe you're absolutely right about that? He was trying too hard to be his father.
right,
He was trying too hard to copy his father's style of delivery. Dude,
yes,
you're the son. Create your own. Make your own way. And I think that was part of the problem why he wasn't. To your absolute credit, that he was a horrible, announcer. And I agree with you 1,000%.
he did his own thing as a wrestler. He became like a stuntman. He was doing the Mick Foley thing.
Exactly. And you just made my point for me, which is find your niche, find what you're good at, and do it. He
Right.
was clearly not good as an announcer, but he took a hell of a bump, Mikey.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
I mean, I can
he
remember,
could take a hell of a bump.
and he had a great match against Kurt Angle, which now that we're talking about it, I want to watch that match again because I think that was the King of the Ring 2001. My number 9, Angelo, I think anyone watching this show or listening to the podcast here, this is going to be the most obscure name that I'm going to utter on this show. And I think a lot of people are going to have to look this up to believe that it actually happened. But the last season of Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, David McClain actually took a hiatus from the commentary and he replaced himself with a Max Headroom ripoff. And if you're not from the 80s, you might forget who Max
You don't
Headroom
know who
was.
Max Headroom is.
But it was an actor acting as if he was a computer AI talking head, like literally just a head with no body.
I met him.
And
Can I tell you a little? Can I tell you my story? Because then
yeah, please
you
do.
and I are the actors, and Mikey is absolutely right. He was an established Hollywood actor. You saw him in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and The Stand with the Stephen King's The Stand. His name is Matt Frewer. He is still with us today. He's still acting. And Max Headroom was the first time we ever heard the word glitch. He
Right.
was a glitch character. In other words, he would digitize like a computer would. Go ahead, Mikey.
Right.
Yep.
This is not. So that's we've established who Max Headroom was, but what Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling Glow did is that they brought in their own version of a Max Headroom-esque character named Sir Miles Headlock.
Yes.
And they actually brought in a knockoff Max Headroom, and I don't know who the real guy's name is, but it was pretty atrocious because half the time you're watching the show, you're trying to figure out what's going on with this robot type of color commentator, Sir Miles Headlock.
I never understood that. I still I used to sit there because I watched everything back in the day when I was watching wrestling.
Yeah.
And I watched and I thought to myself, what are they doing? Like why is he doing this? You know?
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, like, what is David thinking? Like, okay, he wanted a little break in the action, but really, this is what he came up with.
Sir Miles Headlock.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
So I don't know if that was a rip on Sir Alfred Hayes, maybe.
It was can I say something? Because you just said something, boy. Did you open up a Pandora? I think it was an absolute shot at Lord Alfred Hayes. I think that's absolutely what they were doing.
Yeah.
I think they were trying, in whatever twisted way, they were trying to get the attention of WWE or WWF at the time. To no avail, of course, but Mikey, what we're going to do right now is I want to hit my commercial breaks. Let me do a station ID over here, and then we'll take care of everything. And so give me a second, folks, and we will be right back after this. 88.7 WTBR Radio.
You're on a hot date, you're making the cut. You can't be dealing with a faulty left nut. Manscaped is the answer for your gnarly nut sack. Before that babe tells you to hit the road, Jack. In this crazy world of ours, we're often climbing the walls. In all of the confusion, don't forget about your balls. Manscaped to the rescue for your precious crown jewels. Get it today, don't delay. Please be good to your tools.
Yeah, you know the sound. Lock it in, lock it in.
WTBR 88.7, we bringing the heat. First half, what's the buzz? Popcast, feel the raw energy from the street. Then we pull back the veil and dig for the real truth underneath. With the mad dog letting the beast off the leash. And the words from presence is speaking in peace. You ain't ready for this. The mad dog, only on WTBR 88.7. 88.7. Woo! 88.7. Don't touch that dial.
It's What's the Buzz Podcast, WTBR Radio 88.7 FM in Philadelphia and on Globecast Satellite, serving 17 million plus, almost as many as McDonald's, but ours taste better. Mikey Messier, we opened up a Pandora's box of wrestling announcers. Boy, I'm enjoying this show tonight, man. We're having a good time.
Yeah, this is fun. So we're in the home stretch of my worst list. Number 8 on the worst list of announcers. So this is commentators, backstage interviewers type of announcers. A current guy who's currently employed, and I'll give the reason why, but his name is Wade Barrett.
Oh,
and he's on my worst list, and part of it is not his fault, but it's like I feel like this guy should still be wrestling, and I feel like Wade Barrett should have never been buried with the Nexus and the and losing to John Cena with 6 other guys, or whatever happened to Wade Barrett's actual in-ring wrestling career, to me is a travesty. And listening to him be a commentator for guys that are less talented than he was. And to be honest, if he trained, he could probably still wrestle because he's not that old even now. I don't think Wade Barrett's very good at announcing. And it also, same thing with Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis and Wade Barrett should be in the ring. They shouldn't be in these suit and tie positions.
Well, you might get your wish there with Nick Aldis. My understanding is that he's putting the tights back on. I don't know why he ever took them off. He's a hell of a wrestler. He's still in great shape. It was interesting to see him try his hand at announcing. While we're talking about announcers, I think that he's, and again, it's just me. I'm the old fart in the room. I think, both Wade Barrett and Nick Aldis are wasting their time and their gift bullshitting, collecting a paycheck for basically doing nothing. Because I don't know what do they really do? It's a work. What are they doing? He's not managing anything.
Right.
Wade Barrett's a horrible announcer. Well,
yes.
Start an angle with him. Let him say something, do something. Let him take a bump. Triple H, Paul Levesque. He's all about the quote moments, right? He's all about the moments. He's a guy who books for moments. Here's a moment for you, Paul. Put Wade in. Put Wade in with Nick. Let the general manager and the announcer go at it. Why not?
Right.
I mean, I'm not making this up. You had Michael Cole put the tights on. It happened. You had Gene Okerlund put the tights on. For God, but you did. Anyway,
well, when they did
Pat, where my head goes.
Yeah, when they did Pat McAfee against Gunther, I thought that would be an opportune time to bring Wade Barrett in to defend Pat McAfee and so forth. But they didn't do it. They, for whatever reason, Wade Barrett, they didn't
do it. They didn't do it because it makes good sense, Mikey. That's
right. There you go. This guy foreshadowed Jesse Ventura. In other words, this was the wrestler color commentator before Jesse the Body Ventura took over. And I'm glad that Jesse took over because this guy wasn't terribly good at it. Number 7 on my worst list, probably a nice guy in real life, very established football player for the Canadian Football League, Angelo Mosca.
Angelo King Kong Mosca. One of the predecessors of the big guys in wrestling. Angelo Mosca was a Canadian all-star football player, a 5-sport athlete, excelled in all of them, but found he's a guy that found his niche in wrestling. He looked the part. He was big, strong, tough guy. He looked like he could chew nails and spit fire. That's the kind of guy you want. But Angelo Mosca wasn't terribly astute. I'll be kind. I'll be kind, Mikey. He wasn't well versed. I will say that. He certainly knew wrestling, but he didn't know how to convey that to the listening audience on the other side of the camera.
Right.
But yeah, Angelo Mosca was one of those, almost forgotten about. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I didn't forget about him, and I didn't forget about number 6 on my worst list. And this gentleman seemed to be. I met this guy briefly at a wrestling convention in New England because he was from New England. He was the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty, recently passed away.
Yeah, Pete.
But he used to do some commentary.
Yeah,
he would do commentary sometimes on primetime wrestling with some of the house show footage.
Yeah, I actually remember that. I was a big fan of his gimmick. I thought that he would. It's funny. There's a guy, who I'm talking about, Wayne Gilbert. Okay.
Dwayne Gilbert.
Gilbert came out as Goldberg, that
Yes.
kind of like frantic, over the top, mocking of Goldberg. Pete Doherty, the Duke of Dorchester, reminded me so much of Wayne Gilbert in that both of these guys were like, they just looked weird. They just looked funny. And they were really good at getting heat. And they were really good at getting pops. And you could put them in as a baby or you could put them as a heel, and they worked effectively either way. And I saw both of these guys do both. And by the way, just so you know, Wayne Gilbert actually worked for about 2 years here in New Jersey as a house announcer for New Wrestling Superstars, I believe it was called.
Right.
Here in I believe that somewhere down near the Jersey Shore, like maybe like near Brick or Atlantic City or somewhere. I know it was like a shore town. But I don't know if he actually lives here or whether he was coming in for these shots or whatever. But yeah, he was. I mean, he wasn't bad either, too, Mikey.
Dwayne Gill. He started as Dwayne Gill, and I think they made him Dwayne Gilbert or Gilbert. And I mean, what do you got to love about guys like that? Is they have a sense of humor about themselves. I mean, that's very endearing.
And that's what I was trying to convey. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Well, now we're back to my top. We're at the top 10 of my best list.
Okay.
And number 10 on the best list is the T-Bone, Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone.
There you go.
Very
Tony
clean.
Schiavone is iconic. He's another one of these guys that, and I think to his credit, he did his research about his subject matter. He's another guy that did not come from the world of wrestling. He came from the world of baseball. He was a baseball announcer. In fact, he worked for Jim Crockett Sr., who owned a baseball team in, I think, North Carolina, or
I think it was Greensboro, wasn't it?
What was it called, Mikey? The team?
What was the Greensboro Hornets or the Greensboro Bats or the Charlotte Hornets? One of those?
Yes, definitely one of them, and Greensboro for sure, for certain, because that's where Tony Schiavone was living, I believe, at the time, and then was asked to relocate to like closer to Charlotte, where I think is where they did the studio was, the television tapings. But Tony Schiavone was one of those guys, again, you don't have to be from the world of wrestling to be good at your job. You just have to know what you're talking about. And Tony Schiavone did the work. And he's, I think overall, and when I get to my list, I'll tell you where I place him. But I think overall, I think he's doing a hell of a job even today. And he's been around for almost 40 years now.
Yes.
And I think he's only maybe my age. I think he maybe just turned 65 or 66. And I just turned 67. So he's got to be close to my age then, right, Mike?
Yeah, he's in that range. Yeah, and I mean he and Jim Ross were a good team, and Tony Schiavone went to the WWF for a year and did a SummerSlam or two, and Tony Schiavone is great. I mean, he's very crisp, and apparently Vince McMahon had an issue with Tony's mild Southern North Carolina accent. But to me, Schiavone sounds very accentless, if that makes any sense.
Can I tell you why? Very simple. Very, very simple. When you take a guy like Schiavone who lived in the South his entire life and you bring him to New York, he's going to sound like a fish out of water. He's going to sound like he's from the South. But when you take a guy from the South and put him in the South with other Southerners, they all sound like a bunch of Yankees. They all,
yeah.
they don't. I'm telling you, they all sound the same.
Right.
You take me and stick my ass in Jacksonville, they're going to know I'm from the North. Trust me, brother. What else? What's next on the list, Mike?
Number 9, a guy from the North. And once again, in his time, the Pro Wrestling Illustrated's always kind of gave this guy a hard time for his commentary, but I think his voice and his presence has stood the test of time. Maybe even more appreciated now than ever in his lifetime. Gorilla Monsoon is my number 9 pick.
Yep. I'm with you.
Just a fun guy, a guy that loved wrestling. He was one of the owners of the Capital Wrestling, or the WWF, before Vince Jr. bought everybody out. But Gorilla, he always brought his own sense of legitimacy, humor. Seemed like you'd want this guy to be your grandfather or something like that, because he was just he felt very authoritative, like he really had a presence.
I tell you something about you just said the word. You just said the word. I was just about to say it. The thing about Gorilla, very low key, very mild mannered, but let me explain something to you. He was Italian. And if you wanted to push his buttons, it wasn't hard to do. He was a very big guy, and he could be quite authoritative if need be. I had the pleasure and the honor, and it really was a pleasure and honor, to sit and have dinner with him a few times after Spectrum Wrestling.
Nice.
What a great guy, and I got to know his family a little bit. My wife actually knows his daughter. My wife worked with his daughter Valerie. His daughter Valerie Morella still lives here in New Jersey. I believe her mother just passed in the last year. Gorilla's wife, they're together again now.
Right.
But you know what's funny though is that what a big guy he was. But when his son passed away, when Joey Morella passed away, that was it for Gorilla. That he was done. He was done after that. Sweet guy, nice guy. Don't F with him, because he will F back and he will hurt you.
Right.
One of them kind of guys. But there's a guy talking about wrestling announcers. Now, this guy is not on your list. He's not on your good or bad list. I know this for a fact, because I'd be surprised if you even knew who he was. But he was my mentor, my broadcasting mentor. And his name was Dick Graham.
Okay, I remember him a little bit.
You remember Dick Graham?
From Philadelphia, right?
Yeah. Dick Graham used to do play-by-play with Gorilla at Spectrum Wrestling. Now, I knew a couple of the players there. I used to go every month, and I knew all these guys. He was my teacher, literally my teacher in school, in broadcasting school. Dick Graham had a broadcasting school in Philadelphia called the American Academy of Broadcasting. One of the people that used to come in and speak often was Cal Rudman. That Ricky Steamboat used to call him Killer Cal. You know, Killer Cal. And he would do the backstage interviews. And everybody loved Cal Rudman. You couldn't not like him. He was just a really sweet, affable guy. Lousy interviewer, but you didn't care, Mikey, because he was a good guy.
Right,
he was a really nice guy. But Dick Graham, I'd be surprised if Dick Graham was on any of your list.
Well, he's not on my list, but I have seen him on YouTube on the Philadelphia Spectrum shows, because the Prism people have uploaded them onto. In fact, there's one YouTube channel called Monsoon Classic that has a bunch of stuff that's been bootlegged and uploaded, and I watch that stuff.
I love that channel. It's great. If you guys are fans of classic old wrestling, do yourself a favor, go on a YouTube. I'll gateway drug you. I will give you a gateway drug to get there. It's called MikeMessier.com.
Oh,
Go
thank
to
you.
MikeMessier.com. That's your gateway drug into the wrestling world. You got Mikey's rants. You got his movie reviews, a lot of wrestling stuff, and
No.
and just follow the clicks. You'll find your way to Spectrum Wrestling, I assure you. Let's
Well,
see who
thank
we
you.
got. Mikey, we got somebody in the chat here. Who we got here? Oh, Leon. Nick is getting Gunther. Oh, is that what they're doing?
Nick Aldis. Nick
Oh, no
Aldis is
shit.
wrestling
Really?
Gunther. Yeah. Yeah.
The Charlotte Orioles. Thank you, Charlotte Orioles. Thank you, Leon. See, Leon's like a freaking encyclopedia over here.
He's talking about the team that Tony Schiavone did work
the
for.
baseball. Yes, the baseball. It was a minor club, wasn't it, Mikey?
Yes, it was like a AAA, AA, or AAA. Yeah.
Yeah. I know they had like a 6,000 seat stadium there, which is a nice little stadium for the area. Mikey,
Right.
what else you got? What else is on the list?
Okay, number 8. This is the good list. And this one is going to surprise Leon and maybe yourself, because probably people would think I would have him a little bit higher or a lot higher. Some people would say this guy's number 1. For me, if we're strictly talking about commentary and backstage interviews, I put him in number 8, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
I think that's a very respectable position. I think that's a very, very respectable position for Bobby. Now, let me ask you this, because I'm gonna caveat this. Okay, Bobby Heenan, with or without Gorilla? As
I liked
a
him with
solo
Gorilla.
announcer,
Yeah.
or with Gorilla? Okay.
Well, that's why I have him. I have Bobby at 8, Gorilla at 9. I didn't particularly care for Bobby's work in WCW in his later years
I
because
thought it
it
was horrible,
seemed like,
Mikey.
yeah, it seemed like he wasn't really into it, and I think he even came,
Yeah.
he came to work. He came to work drunk a few times.
I
Yeah,
think when Gorilla died, that was it for Bobby. Was just after Gorilla passed away.
right.
Bobby Heenan had like no fire left. You could literally see it. He was like he would look at the camera and like just kind of like, why am I here? You could go back and look at the old tapes on YouTube.
I believe you.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe
crazy.
But in his peak
I think that
with Prime,
you placed them very, very well. 8 and 9, I think, is a really good spot. What do you got next?
number 7. This one might surprise people because they think of him as the manager today, but back in WCW, Paul E. Dangerously was a really good commentator with Jim Ross, and then years later, they'd be reunited for about 6 or 7 months when Jerry Lawler had a falling out with the WWF. They brought in Paul Heyman, same guy, to do commentary, and even did commentary at WrestleMania 17. So Paul Heyman, although I have issues with him as a human being, in WCW, he was very entertaining as a heel commentator / manager. And I thought I put him at number 7, which is pretty high, but that's where I've got him.
Good. No argument here. I think your placing is perfect.
Okay. Number 6.
We'll see where my placing fares with it.
All right. Number 6, we talked about him earlier, and you said he was the mentor to Dave Brown in Memphis. Number 6, I have Lance Russell.
Yep, absolutely. I think
Okay.
I think number 6 is a great spot for Lance, with or without Dave Brown. I think Lance is right there.
And Lance also did some stuff in WCW around 1989. There was a year, and you remember this, Angela, because you were in Baltimore for the Bash, 89, I believe, the Flair Funk one. But they brought in Lance Russell. They brought in Joe Pedicino. They brought in Gordon Solie. They had all the best announcers in WCW for like 6 or 7 months all together at once. It's kind of interesting.
Well, I tell you what, that was a cavalcade of announcers for sure.
I've got my.
Interesting that they all managed to be in the same room, because I know personally that a couple of those guys had major heat with each other. A couple of those guys didn't like each other.
But they're getting a paycheck.
Yeah, well,
they're getting a paycheck.
Basically, what it was like. We're getting paid. You know what? There you go.
Okay, I'm down to my top 5 on the worst and the best list. So we'll go the top 5 worst first. I also have a honorable mention list, just a couple of random names that I didn't put on either list. But the worst 5, this one's kind of a this one's kind of sad because the guy was actually having health issues when he was doing commentary from the WWE around 2010. And Mike Adamle, his tenure was short lived. He had health issues. We didn't know about it then, but he was real. The fans really got on him because he said the name Jeff Harvey instead of Jeff Hardy,
Yeah.
and he never recovered. But Mike seemed to be a good guy. I think he worked on the American Gladiator show,
Yeah.
and by all accounts, kind of like a Steve Mongo thing, like a nice guy, really talented, but just a fish out of water, so to speak, the square peg in the round hole.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember him, and I remember he wasn't terribly effective, and I remember he wasn't terribly long tenured either.
Right.
Yeah. Who's
Yep.
next on that one?
Well, some people, they're trying to make this guy sound like he's the GOAT these days. They've called him that for a couple of years. I totally disagree. I think he's been very mediocre for over 20 years, maybe 25. I don't see the appeal. I think one guy brought the best out of him. The one guy that brought the best out of him was Taz. This guy, he actually tunes me out. Like I don't watch as much WWE as I would if Michael Cole was not the head stick man in the whole company. I really find Michael Cole, I don't want to say offensive, but his voice, he's just he's kind of a mix of too serious and too goofy at the same time. It's hard to describe, but I've just never accepted Michael Cole.
I understand completely, and I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with you. Go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, so Michael Cole, the only guy that, like I said, Taz and Michael Cole on SmackDown were good. And there's one thing that Michael Cole does that I like when he says vintage Randy Orton. Like, for whatever reason, I get a pop out of that. I like the vintage whoever, but I just don't like Michael Cole as a commentator. But there's a guy that the WWE brought in for 3 or 4 years, especially with NXT. And this guy gets a lot of work. He's got a movie about him. This guy is so over the top that he really turns me off to even good wrestling matches. And that's Mauro Rinaldi. I find him terribly over the top.
Awful.
Number 3 on the worst list. And
I'm surprised he wasn't higher.
yeah, the Mamma Mia. He's the Mamma Mia guy. Mamma Mia. I just.
Yeah.
This is what I said. Like
it's Mamma Mia.
Yeah, if a move was a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10, like a spot was a 7,
Yeah.
Mauro tries to sell it as a 12 or a 15, which to me it's just too much. It's too much.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
My number 2 and my number 1, I got very specific, and I think it's because on some level I didn't want to give the 2 worst spots to full-time guys, because even with Michael Cole, he has tenure, he's done it for a long time. But the 2 guys that I picked for 2 and 1 were kind of not there for very long. But I picked number 2 is the worst, which means the second from the worst. Superstar Billy Graham, specifically at SummerSlam 1988. He did a really he teamed up with Gorilla Monsoon. By the way, Angelo and all the listeners, I didn't do any Googling for this. This was all at the top of my head, these lists.
Oh,
But,
I have no doubt about that, Mikey.
SummerSlam 88. If you really want to punish yourself, listen to Superstar Graham and Gorilla Monsoon do the 3-hour pay-per-view without Jesse Ventura, just the 2 of them. It's horrible.
Right?
And this pay-per-view, Angelo, you might have attended live and in person. I did. It was a pay-per-view from Baltimore. It wasn't WCW. It was WWF. But they brought in a guy for a one-off. Apparently, Vince McMahon was not in the building that night. He was at home sick or something. But Bruce Pritchard has told the story of the night they brought in to do color commentary along with Randy Savage. they brought in Art Donovan, the former football player. And he did really bad commentary at King of the Ring. This is the one that Owen Hart won.
Do you think? Oh
And
God. Oh,
and Art, if you look, I've forced myself to sit through the whole show because I was there in person in the audience where you didn't hear the commentary. So my
yeah.
experience was in the audience. But going back years later to watch it on tape, Art Donovan was talking about all the wrestlers' weights. Like he was very fascinated by all the weights of the wrestlers, and he was
Yeah,
guessing how much
I
each
just
guy
don't
weighed.
understand why.
Yeah,
I don't understand why. I just, some people are, I don't know. They get the little fetishes. I just don't understand it. Let's,
it was a miscarriage of justice.
Leon says Lawler and Dundee can't stand each other for, well, yeah, but that's, Leon, that's old news, brother.
Yeah,
Mikey, who is, I have to ask you, Art Donovan, number one, right? He's
yes,
of the worst. Okay, very
number
aptly
one
put
worst.
there. Okay, now who's left on the good side? You got 5 or 6 of them, maybe
I got
7.
five left. I got my top five.
Okay, let's see. Who
My
you got there?
number five, I have oh my God, the guy that knocked out JBL, Joey Styles is my number five from ECW.
Okay,
Number four, and once again, putting personal feelings aside, but I think that this guy did a great job of putting over whatever was being on the screen. This guy put it over. Vince McMahon Jr., Vince Jr.
okay,
Uh, Number three, a guy that worked with Vince McMahon Jr. quite a bit on Saturday Night's Main Event. He was the governor, the body, the mind. Jesse the Body Ventura is my number three pick for the
okay.
best. There comes down to two, Angelo, and I think that longtime wrestling fans, Michael Cole's not going to be anywhere near these two guys, no matter what anybody says. There's only two guys that can be 1 and 2, and it really is a pick 'em between these two guys. But seeing that he's still doing it to this day in a limited capacity, I do have Gordon Solie at number 2, and I have the guy that would probably put Gordon above him. And these two guys did the New York Knockout Clash of the Champions 9 together, the Flair Funk I Quit match. I have Gordon at 2, and I have Jim Ross at number 1.
Okay. Interesting picks. Interesting picks because we paralleled each other pretty much all the way to up 1 and 2. I have Gordon at number 1 and Jim Ross at number 2. Let me take a little video package here. We got a little video package I want everybody to take a look at. And Mike, you remember the names that I'm going to remind you of some of the names that you mentioned. Let's take a look at this and we'll just let it play. Here you go.
Turns to history in time.
That was fun.
Okay, so those are my picks. I had one little mistake, and I just realized it. And I didn't catch it when I was putting the video together. But I had Mauro Ronaldo in the good section. That was a mistake. It clearly was a mistake because he's nowhere near the good section. All right, so here's what I got. I'll start with my my shit list first.
Okay.
And I'm going to go from one down instead of from the bottom up. Okay.
All right.
On the worst list, got to start with Mauro Ronaldo.
Yep.
For obvious reasons. Excalibur from AEW.
Oh, that's a good pick. Forgot about him.
I don't get the whole masked announcer thing. I don't understand that. So maybe it's the visual that I don't like him, or maybe it's what's coming out of his mouth that I don't like him.
Yeah.
Also on my hit parade is Nigel McGuinness. I'm not all that crazy about Nigel's announcing.
Okay.
I think it's too, and maybe this is just picky of me, but I think Nigel's announcing style is too collegiate for me. He's very British, you know. Go ahead, Mike.
Can I offer a word that might be what you're thinking of?
Dry. Many words. Go ahead.
Sure. Just one word. Dry. Just dry.
Exactly. That's a perfect word to put it. Yeah. And I find there's just no flavor there. There's no excitement there. It's just like you said, it's dry.
Right.
Mike Adamle, of course, frequent mistakes, forgets names, doesn't understand or didn't, understand the terminology or what the holds were. Very, like, he was a good-looking guy, and great for TV. Unfortunately, wrestling, you have to know what you're talking about. Because the camera is on you for about 2 minutes, but your voice is on for about 90 minutes. Okay,
yes.
And so people need to know. Rob Bartlett was a stand-up comedian that I don't know how he weaseled his way into an announcing position, but 1993 was a horrible year for announcers in WWF.
Yes.
Rob Bartlett led the charge on because right after Rob Bartlett, they went from bad to worse because Art Donovan came in 94, who, according to Mike Messier, is arguably, and I may have to reconsider this, but he may very well be the worst of all time.
Yes.
Great football knowledge, but one thing he tried to do that you never, ever want to do in wrestling, don't ever compare another sport with wrestling. You can't compare football and wrestling. He tried to do that too often. He went to the well too often. Can't do that. David Otunga, horrible announcer, great wrestler, amazing physique. He's a hell of a lawyer. He's even a damn good actor, quite frankly. A multi-talented guy, but announcing's not one of his strong suits.
I met David once. I met David in New York by a friend of mine, Jose, had an audition, and David auditioned for the same role. So me and my friend Jose talked to David Otunga for about 5 or 6 minutes, and he was a really nice guy. But I agree with that he should be on that worst list.
Here's one that might surprise you. The coach, Jonathan Coachman.
On your worst list?
Yeah. I thought that the coach was far better, and just crazy how it works. He found his niche as a character. The coach, the character of the coach was far better than Jonathan Coachman, ESPN announcer. And I got news for you. I think that character helped develop the man, the coach.
Right.
I watch his show. You ever watch his show called the Coach and Bro Show with him and Russo?
I have. Yeah, I have a little bit. Yeah.
I watch it daily whenever it's on. Here's another
Nice.
one: wrestler turned announcer. He was a washout of the Tough Enough training camp, but again, good-looking kid that they kept. They thought, oh, we're going to make him an announcer. Josh Matthews, another guy that should have easily just left wrestling in the rearview mirror and go back to working at the bank, because he was lousy as a wrestler and he was lousy doing commentary.
He did get a nice wife out of wrestling, though. He did get to he married.
Sure did. He
Madison Rain.
Definitely he married up for sure. But
right.
The problem I found is that his enthusiasm wasn't genuine. It was like it was forced, or like coerced. Kind of like me. He went to the Mad Dog School of Broadcasting, talking over people, because I'm terrible about doing that. Although I did better tonight. And he wasn't natural. It didn't come across as, like I said before, it came across like a forced style.
Could I say that
I didn't buy it? Go ahead. What do
you think? Maybe do you think that Josh, maybe in his heart of hearts, actually still wanted to be a wrestler? So it was hard for him to put over other wrestlers. Okay.
Absolutely, and I think it showed. I think it absolutely showed. This is going to surprise some people on my worst list. Bruno Sammartino.
Oh yeah.
Bruno Sammartino, amazing champion, longest champion ever in the history of wrestling. Still to this day, never been beat. His record has never been beat. But when you put that piss yellow jacket on Bruno and stick a microphone in his hand, look, the guy's taking a lot of punches to the head, okay? A lot of them, and then when you add, this is, you want to talk about a dream team of wrestling. Bruno Sammartino and Pat Patterson together.
Oh,
yes, and they did. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. They talked to each other, but not about the match. They spent the entire, because they knew each other very well. Bruno was one of the people that got Patterson over here to America from Canada. That's where he met him. Bruno met him in Canada when he went to work for the Tunney family. Frank and Jack Tunney in Canada. So Bruno was one. Here's another one that people may be surprised. Randy Savage. I thought Randy was a hell of a worker, but a horrible announcer because he didn't want to be there.
Yes.
And you could see it.
You could hear it.
Yeah, he just didn't want to be. Here's the one a lot of people forget about, and I got this on my list here too. From NWA, go back to the NWA Georgia Championship Wrestling. I'm going to jog you with this one, Mr. Messier. Paul Jones. Paul Jones.
Yeah.
Paul Jones did commentary with Gordon Solie and Bob Caudle, and the other fellow, the other guy. There was one more. There was a third announcer that went in and out of NWA for a little bit. I'm trying to remember. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I remember Gordon Solie for sure, Bob Caudle, Dusty being back and forth with Gordon, for sure, Paul Jones. The same Paul Jones, Paul Jones Army, his crew there.
Right. Rooted Barbarian and everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. God say, the other one. Oh, here you go. Here's another one people may forget that was actually a play-by-play announcer for a while. Going back to Texas, world class, right? Think of him as a hell of a wrestler. He was the tag team partner of the late, great Gino Hernandez. Chris Adams, Chris Adams, did play-by-play. with Bill Mercer, in fact. Here's one you might, I don't know if you remember this one. Before he became a referee, this guy was also an announcer in Texas. And in fact, I had him on my show about 8 months ago. James Beard.
Okay.
From World Class Championship Wrestling in Texas. James Beard. Great. And he was referred to that position by Playboy Gary Hart, the late Gary Hart. In my opinion, one of, if not the best finish guys in all of professional wrestling. That means better than Patterson, better than Eddie Graham. I think Gary Hart, hands down, and I'll stand on that statement, hands down, the best mind for finishes ever in any wrestling. Again, I'm going to surprise some people with this. On my, I got a couple left. Not a couple left on my shit list.
Yeah.
Okay, got the. Oh, here you go. Here's a couple. Mark Madden, WCW.
Oh yeah, WCW.
Very short WCW run. Again,
last year
a
or so.
guy from the entertainment business who liked wrestling, who watched it growing up, but knew shit about how to call a wrestling match. Because he saw it on TV, he thought he could do it. Okay, well, that's all well and good, but take the lesson from the Tony Schiavone playbook and do your research, my friend. Do your research and know what you're calling. This guy lasted for about 5 minutes. His name was Adnan Virk. He was a Canadian football announcer. Came to the WWE. I think he was. We'd established this before the show. And in fairness and full disclosure to our audience, Mikey and I talked about this gentleman before we went on the air because I had asked Mikey the question, did you remember Adnan Virk? And I didn't, and I still don't. But because I don't know him, I had to do it. I had to find out who he was. And he was a horrible announcer. And he did a great career move by leaving pro wrestling. You can find him working at the bank now, folks. Last but not least on my shit list, AEW, Alex Marvez.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about his, first of all, his very limited experience in wrestling. He struggles a lot with name, kind of like Adam Lee. It reminds me a lot of Mike Adamle in that he struggles with names, trying to remember names. He's he doesn't know where he's at sometimes, and actually said WWE on the air one time. Very limited sports knowledge. At least have some kind of knowledge. Or even if you can compare, if you don't have the wrestling knowledge, well, people are close enough associated wrestling with boxing. So utilize some of the terminology is actually the same. Work, shoot, over, under, heat, pops. That terminology exists in boxing too. A boxer that's got heat, or a boxer that's got pops. So there's a lot there. Now, I did something a little different. I have my team list, and you saw the video of the team list.
Yeah, I like that team list. Yeah.
Here's how I categorize my teams. Number one team. Number one. Monsoon and Heenan, hands down, by far. Right under them, Ross and Lawler. No question about it. I give them absolute kudos where it's on my third and fourth. Mikey, I went back and forth with this. So that's why, and in fact, I even highlighted them in yellow. And I want to talk to you about this. In my third and fourth position, in third, I put Gordon, Solie, and Buddy Colt. In fourth,
Okay.
I put Shivani, Heenan, and Rhodes. Now,
Oh yeah.
so now where you understand why I went flip flop with this?
Well, can I say that it's kind of an apple and an orange, because I think with Colt and Solie, it was a once a week Florida wrestling program, right, for an hour.
Yeah.
And with Shivani, Dusty, and was it Heenan or Tanay was on that team? Shivani, Dusty, and
think it was Mike Tenay.
yeah, I think you're right. So Tanay,
Yeah.
Dusty with the clubber in time and then stomp a mud hole in him, and Shivani. That was like the WCW Nitro Thunder pay-per-view era, like 96, 97, 98, 99. And those guys had longer shows to do, I would say. Like they often would probably do a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
And it was just a different era, because in Florida for an hour, you're trying to talk people to buy a ticket for the matches in Jacksonville that night, or Lakeland, or Orlando, or wherever the Eddie Graham show was going to be. And in the Nitro era, you're talking about trying to get people to buy a pay-per-view once a month. And I just think it's an apple and an orange. So I think it just comes down to, you can't really compare those two teams heads up. It's not fair to either team. It's just personal preference.
Now you understand why I flip-flopped with it.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I almost went, and I'll be honest with you, I almost went with my sentimental favorite, because I'm a big Dusty fan, you know? How do you,
of course,
be a wrestling fan and not love Dusty Rhodes? So I almost went with Shivani, Heenan, and Rhodes in number 3, but I had to be fair. I had to be fair to Gordon, but now, because you're going to hear Gordon's name come up again in a minute. Yes. Here's an interesting case to that I really had to flip myself on this one too. I had to go back and forth. I think I actually, when I use the word flip, and I literally think I flipped myself on this one. Take a guy like Taz and Excalibur as a team, okay, for AEW. Now,
yes,
you already know that I don't like Excalibur, but again, when you got a guy who knows the business, who is a wrestler, who knows the terminology, I'll give Excalibur kudos on a team level, because he was smart enough to follow Taz. Follow the leader. Let the guy who knows do the talking. So he was smart enough to do that. Then, of course, the sentimental favorite again, Lance Russell and Dave Brown. Classic Memphis Championship Wrestling. Then, and again, I took two guys that you may not see together, but they really, really worked well as a unit, which was Mike Tenay and Don West. I thought they did well as a unit.
They did.
Whereas Don West on his own knew shit from Shinola.
Right.
Yeah, but again, here's a classic case, Mikey. Follow the leader. Let Tenay. Please comment.
Michael Cole and Taz to me is Excalibur and Taz to you. Like the guy that you don't like Taz is interesting because he got number 20 on my best list, but it seems like Taz really excels at making somebody who stinks otherwise pretty good, or tolerable at least. And then what you were saying just now about Mike Tenay and Don West, and I think Don West passed away recently, but Don West and Tenay, you had the extremes of like the ultra wrestling expert nerd Mike Tenay, and you had the super casual QVC selling you the brown paper bag full of DVDs and stuff, Don West. And I think that was like that's like about as extreme as it gets. Don West and Mike Tenay of opposites attract. You have the super expert and the super casual hype man, and it's like a peanut butter and jelly. They made it work somehow.
And you're going to hear another couple examples of that peanut butter and jelly combination. Now Gordon Solie can make anybody look good. Almost anybody. Okay. Bob Caudle, Gordon Solie, great team. Gordon Solie, Dusty Rhodes, great team. Gordon Solie and Eddie Graham, interesting team.
Okay.
Here's the thing about Gordon Solie and Eddie Graham. They were great friends. They had great chemistry together. But when Eddie Graham got in front of the microphone at ringside, he couldn't control himself as an announcer. He always found a way. And I don't know if it was just his nature that, like wrestlers have this. Hulk Hogan described at one time about like not being able to sit still. That's why Hogan couldn't go to see fights and go places like that, because he couldn't sit still, the adrenaline. And that's, I think, what the Eddie Graham scenario is basically the same. Eddie Graham was with Gordon, casual conversation about wrestling, good stuff. But when Eddie Graham and Gordon Solie were play-by-play at ringside, Eddie Graham, for whatever reason, maybe because he's Eddie Graham and he could do it, just found a way to get himself involved in every match. He found a way, Mikey, to get it was always like a run-in, interference, or trying to protect somebody. It's just, I don't even, especially if his son was wrestling, Mike Graham. God rest their souls. Both father and son are gone. My short list, in no particular order for the worst. Of course, Mike Adamle, Rob Bartlett, Art Donovan, Adnan Virk, David Otunga, Josh Matthews, Mark Madden, Jonathan Coachman, Alex Marvez, Don West, God bless him, Don West, Buddy Colt, good wrestler, can't announce. Let's see here, Bill Watts, Bruno Sammartino. By the way, they were great tag partners, but they didn't learn how to speak. They didn't.
Right.
At least not for a microphone, anyway. And let's see, God rest his soul, Steve Mongo McMichael. Now, on the other hand, the good guys, some of my favorite singular announcers, and I have to say, of course, because I met him and he was a good guy, and I'm the last human being that ever had my picture taken with Gordon Solie. That's wow. And that's verified. Yeah, that's verified from his daughter, and it's in her book.
Wow.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm in her book. The picture of me and her father is in her book. Her name's Pam Allen, and that's Gordon's daughter. Okay, so Gordon Solie, Jim Ross, for obvious reasons, he is the voice of a generation. Bobby the Brain Heenan, clear cut, absolute, knows his shit. He had this vernacular. He was funny. He was sharp, serious if he needed to be, but could play the fool. Everything you want in an announcer and more. Gorilla Monsoon, warm, affable, vibrant, knows the business, takes no shit, and made WWF feel like a family-friendly environment, along with my mentor, Dick Graham. Jesse Ventura, he revolutionized the heel commentary. He was charismatic and made arguments that often made sense from the villain's perspective, because we never used to give the heel much credit. It was always the baby face we wanted to win. But guess what? Sometimes the bad guy wins, you know?
Yeah.
And who did that book? Somebody wrote a book called it was literally called Sometimes the Bad Guy Wins. And you know who it was? I remember. It's a guy that's living in Florida right now. George South.
Oh, the wrestler. Okay.
Yeah, George South. He wrote a book. His son actually wrote a book first called
Huh.
My Daddy Doesn't. The book is called My Daddy Doesn't Work, He Wrestles. That's the name of the book. And George's book is called, and I just said it.
Sometimes the bad guy wins.
Sometimes the bad guy wins. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, on my list here, great announcer Joey Styles, and I think WWF at the time or whatever it was. I think they dropped the ball big time because Joey has a wealth of wrestling knowledge. He's charismatic. He knows how to manipulate his voice. He can play the part that you give him. He called shows almost entirely. In fact, he did call shows entirely by himself at ECW.
Yes.
He has unprecedented energy. He's young. He's hip. He identifies with the crowd. His memorable "Oh my God" calls are like legendary. Tony Schiavone, of course. He worked for virtually every wrestling promotion in America. AEW, WCW, WWF, WWE, Georgia Championship Wrestling, NWA, AWA. He worked for all of them. I don't know if he ever worked for Bill Watts down in Louisiana or Oklahoma, but but he would have succeeded there too because he succeeded. He has unilaterally succeeded everywhere he went. Here's one might surprise you on my good list. Mikey's going to fall off his chair when I mention this name. Herb Abrams.
Oh boy.
I thought Herb Abrams brought tremendous energy to the play-by-play desk.
Now, how do you think he did that? Where do you think he got that energy from?
And cowboy boots, brother. Cocaine and cowboy boots.
Right. Yeah, right.
Absolutely. Coke and cowboy boots. Herb Abrams had tremendous energy. It was, don't forget, it was his company, so he could do what the hell he wanted. But I think it's interesting, too, that he brought Bruno Sammartino into UWF.
Right.
But for some reason, don't ask me how or why, Bruno was much better in UWF than he was with the WWF that he pretty much founded, him and Vince's dad.
Right.
It's crazy. Here's one that might surprise you on my good guy list. Okay. He's the only one I have that's both on the good and the bad list. And I'll explain why he's on both. Okay.
Okay.
For his knowledge of wrestling, for his ability to convey his information to the fans, Randy Macho Man Savage.
Okay, you had him on the good list.
He's also on my bad list for lack of energy, lack of enthusiasm, clearly didn't want to be here. But when he spoke, he made sense. His announcing was, it was what it was supposed to be. Deliver the info.
Right.
Give the people what they need to hear. You're calling a wrestling match, and he was excellent at it. But it's funny when you remember the times, Mikey, when WWE tried to do a double heel team with Vince in the middle, and they had Macho Man on one end, Vinnie Mac in the middle, and Jesse Ventura on the other side of Vince.
I remember Piper and Savage together. I don't remember Jesse and Macho Man together with Vince. I don't remember that.
It lasted about 3 shows, And I think Vince either got tired of being in the middle of these two animals, or
Right.
he realized that it wasn't working at some point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Jesse, great. Macho Man, great in a limited capacity as an
Right.
announcer, but by himself, no. With another character, I think he fed off of it a little bit. I enjoyed the heel team, the heel announcers. And here you go, perfect foils, Monsoon and Heenan.
Sure.
Bobby Heenan would defend it. Whatever the heel did, Bobby Heenan would defend it. He had a way
Right.
of doing that because he can make up bullshit and make you believe it. Okay.
Well, the masterpiece is the Royal Rumble '92 when Flair is in the Royal Rumble and Henning's at ringside and Bobby the Brain is like cheerleading in the commentary booth with Monsoon. That's like the master class in three heels getting over at the same time.
Here's a couple on that. I'm going to finish out my good list with three more people.
Okay.
And two of them may be a surprise to you. Okay. Mike Tenay, very knowledgeable, personable, comes across like he comes across like you got that you want to sit down and have a beer with him and talk
Sure.
wrestling.
Right.
Except if you're Vince Russo, and then he fucking hate you because you don't like
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
like Vince. Yeah, he don't like Vince. Mike Tenay, Kevin Kelly. I thought Kevin
Yes.
Kelly was a hell of an announcer. And,
Yep.
and I think very much underrated and very much underappreciated at his
Right.
time with WWF. Here's a guy. A lot of people, he was like there for a cup of coffee, but it was really, really good. And he went to work for Empire Championship Wrestling in California. And I want to throw his name at you. His name is a young guy named Ian Riccoboni. You remember him at all?
I actually do not. No.
Okay. Ian Riccoboni was at WWE basically for an on-air audition. And Vince put him on the air and he announced a full show. And people
Okay.
responded to him. But Vince didn't hire him because he didn't look the part. You could Google him. You'll find out who I'm talking
I just
about.
did. Okay. Okay. I see him now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So now, and then, of course, if we're going to be fair, probably, the mother lode of wrestling announcers, the creme de la creme, a guy who put it all together. You got to give kudos to Vinnie Mac,
Yes.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah. He was my number 4. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Vince McMahon was one of those people for years and years and years. And you know this, Mikey. Nobody knew that he owned the company or that he was about to be, the owner.
Right.
Especially after his father passed away, he inherited all of it. All the talent, all the business, all the money. all the money.
Yeah.
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 And in turn made a hell of a lot more money. If his father knew
Right.
how much money he made, holy shit, he'd be looking for his payback right about now, Mike.
Yeah.
But Vince McMahon, you got to say, love him or hate him, Vince McMahon is the standard bearer. He's the measuring stick, really, for what a wrestling announcer should be, especially when he was younger. He wasn't a bad-looking guy when he was younger. He aged horribly. Looks like shit now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he had an energetic voice. He had the enthusiasm. He had a presence about him. He was a big guy. He looked like a wrestler. You could see this guy holding his own with these guys.
Right.
And you couldn't say that for people like Don West. You couldn't say that for people like Mike Adamle, who was like short, pretty much kind of short. Wasn't real big
Yeah.
anyway. You know, you're talking about, guys whose job is to convey action. And if you have a guy with you who's really good at that and you're there for the ride with him, you strap your booster rocket to his ass and take the ride, and you'll look as good as he is. But when you
Right.
got a guy, and you know what it's like, Mikey, when a guy goes into business for himself or tries to anyway, as an announcer, nothing good can happen of that. Nothing
Yeah.
good ever happens that way, you know?
What you said
So
about
that's
Vince,
my list. What do you think of my list?
I think your lists are great. Stuff like the Buddy Cult is interesting to me because that's a little bit before my time, and I have a lot of respect for the Territory days. And I kind of came in as a fan on the last couple of years of the Territory days. So I mean, I miss those days too. But I kind of came in right when the transition to the two-party system was happening with the NWA and the WWF. I found that your list, like going to the number 1 and 2 with Jim Ross and Gordon Solie, that's such a coin flip, and it's, to me, it kind of comes down to that just in my lifetime, I've seen a lot more of Jim Ross than I have of Gordon Solie. But I remember watching Georgia Championship Wrestling for a couple of years, and Gordon and Ole Anderson. We didn't mention Ole Anderson, but he was like the gruff kind of babyface commentator who was trying to keep Georgia Championship Wrestling together. And he and Gordon did commentary together for a while when I first started watching. But Gordon was great. I mean, the way that he would say the word suplex, he wouldn't say suplex, he would say suplex.
Yeah.
Gordon just seemed like a very classy guy. And I think there's a point that I'd like to make. There used to be a thing in wrestling where, like, a Mean Gene Okerlund or a Vince McMahon, they looked like an announcer. They wore the black, they wore a tuxedo. They looked like they would be an announcer.
Yeah.
And then there started being a thing with our modern times where it's almost considered prejudicial to cast somebody in a role that they look like they should do. Like now that's considered being too biased. And it's like, you've got to, like, for instance, Alex Marquez is about my size.
Yeah.
And I could do backstage interviews better than Alex Marquez, but I wouldn't hire me because I'm definitely bigger than Kenny Omega, and I'm definitely bigger than the Young Bucks, and I'm bigger than MJF. And if you put me next to some of the wrestlers, I'm not making them look good. I'm making them look small.
Well,
and
that's
Alex
why,
Marquez,
and I'm glad you said that, because I was trying to convey that earlier by, when I mentioned Mike Adamle, this little guy, he was a shorter fella.
Well, he should be doing the backstage interviews, and
you're exactly right. Exactly.
Mean Gene Okerlund, I met Mean Gene, and he was a funny guy, but he just seemed, he was such a personality, but he's a shorter guy. He's 5'8", 5'9", something like that.
Yeah.
But Mean Gene, he put Mean Gene next to Andre the Giant or Hulk Hogan or even Macho Man, and Macho Man was kind of short for a wrestler at the time. But Mean Gene would make these guys look larger than life while still looking like he's the right guy for the role. But a guy like, not to pick on him, but Alex Marquez with AEW, well, why'd you give Alex Marquez this spot? Because he's a nice guy? Because he's been around for a while? He used to write a dirt sheet about wrestling? Whatever. It just doesn't work. It's interesting to me. That's why I think you and I have talked about referees in the past, Angelo. Sure. I was never a fan of Nick Patrick. I know that his father's the assassin, and it's Jody Hamilton and all that great stuff. But to me, exactly. Nick Patrick was always miscast as a referee because he's a wrestler-sized guy. You know what I mean? And
perfect referee. And I'll tell you what, and you might agree with me on this one. The perfect referee, Dick Worley.
I was going to say Tommy Young, but Dick Worley was great too.
Yeah, well, Tommy Young and Dick Worley were basically thinner fellas, shorter guys. Tommy Young
Right.
wasn't the 6 footer. He was maybe 5'8", 5'9". Dick
Yeah.
Worley was the same, about 5'9", thinner. They looked like Hulk Hogan used to pick Dick Worley up with one arm. Okay,
Right.
he used
Right.
to
Right.
do like push-ups with him.
Yeah.
But Dick Worley was one of those guys that you didn't want to screw with him because he would the fact that he was a short guy. He was built too. He used to work out every day because he lived around
Right.
here. But it's interesting when you talk about announcers, wrestling announcers, and how the aesthetics, how the looks make a difference. How they did then, how they do now. How now pretty much everybody looks like they can be a wrestler because these guys are so small.
Yeah. I think my theory, real quick, is that the tough guys migrated to UFC, and the wrestling fans became the wrestlers, like the Young
Yeah,
Bucks. And
exactly.
I did want to, if before we I know we're coming up on the 2 hour mark, but I wanted to show my honorable mention page, Angelo, because I did have Kevin Kelly. That scratches the Kevin Kelly that you mentioned on your best list.
Here you go. Wait,
And
you want to show list? Here you go. Hold on. There you go. Here's mine.
there you go.
There you go. Hold on there, Mikey.
Let me
There you
nice.
go. Right?
Nice. I can see all the scratch, all the names getting scratched out and written over. And then,
I got more. There's more.
what else you got? What else you got?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
There's all this stuff here.
Nice.
I made notes all over my shit. Look at this stuff. I got notes everywhere.
That's awesome.
Mikey, let me promote you over here. MikeMessier.com
Sure.
let me bring up. Where's Mikey's? Here it is. Hot damn, I got you. There you go. Reach Mikey Messier at MikeMessier.com. Fight or play basketball. Every shot counts. Or take your shot, it's called, right? Take your shot.
Every shot. No, it's a fighter play basketball. Every shot counts. You had it right.
Oh, I was right the first time. There you go. Okay. I was going to say I have the book right here.
Yeah, thanks.
The audio book, we are going to be talking about that. Mikey's got a special episode we're going to dedicate to Mike Messier's book, Fight or Play Basketball. The audio book is now available at MikeMessier.com on Amazon, right?
Yeah, Amazon, Hoopla, Barnes and Noble. Yeah,
That's
Fight or Play Basketball.
all the your book outlets, wherever you buy your reading materials, you can find Fight or Play Basketball. We have next Monday, Mikey, we have an interesting show. The woman from the Ghost Hunters is going to be here. Her name is Robin. Again, I'm gonna make sure I get it. Robin Strom will be here. She is a paranormal investigator. We're going to be talking about spirits and ghosts and the world of the paranormal. She's got 3 books out. Talk about her books, and I'll send you a list of her books so you could do some research. If you feel like, and not, we'll just talk about ghosts. I'm good with that too.
I'll do the research. Yeah.
Okay. And on Tuesday, on our continuing saga of Tuesday Night Titans, ladies and gentlemen, on our next episode is the WWE. This is going to be a hot button show. Is the WWE promoting a satanic agenda? And what of all the characters that have cryptic symbology and the WWE logo itself, what does it really mean? And is it an actual symbol? We will find out. I will tell you the answers to all these and more questions on our next episode of the World. No, of the World.
Yeah.
Of Behind the Veil. It's going to be an interest because we got 2 shows next week of Behind the Veil. And then we have a special show coming up on our next Behind the Veil episode. And we're going to talk about open forum, whatever the hell we feel like. It's one of our open forum shows. Mikey and I will probably sit down and talk about what do you want to talk about, and we'll come up with 5 or 6 subjects, and we'll bullshit our way through that show like we do every show. That'll probably be another 2 hours show. Mikey and I could do 2 hours standing on our headphones. We really can.
Sure.
Let me show you MikeMessier.com. And if you guys want to do something good for me and do good for you, go to WTBRradio.podbean.com and buy some coffee mugs, buy a t-shirt, buy t-shirt and mugs, buy them both. You can go there at
Matching set.
yeah. Go to our merch, go to our gallery, check out all of our. It's good stuff. It really, really is. And if you feel like liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/@ What's the Buzz Popcast. And we are a popcast. The emphasis on pop. What else we got going on? And you can listen to us, of course, on Globecast satellite around the world. Right now, Tony Lubinsky, I want to make sure I get it right. I'm going to call him Lebowski again. I'm sorry, Tony. Anthony Lubinsky runs the satellite company at Globecast Satellite, and I will tell you that he has been extremely generous to this station, and I will tell you that we are ever grateful for all 17 million households that he has that we are now in. Am I saying to you that 17 million people are watching us? Probably not at one time, but we are in that many households. I will tell you that for sure. I saw his subscriber base, and it is massive when I tell you. It is massive. We are on no less than 4 YouTube channels. We are on Odyssey, YouTube, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can go to our main YouTube here at What's the Buzz Popcast. You can find the other 4 there. We are on Odyssey Video. We are on Audible, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Apple Music. I said iHeartRadio. I like iHeart, so I'll say it twice. Everywhere you can find a podcast or a radio station, we're there. We're on TuneIn. Right. We are on we are on Shout Music. Oh my God. Just go and look. I'll be here all night telling you where we are. We're over the moon over where we are. I'm just thrilled. Mikey, what do you want to promote? Anything you got? Tell everybody. What do you got coming up?
Well, look, Instagram, it's Mike Messier Art. And I know Mad Dog Angelo is on Instagram as well. So you can follow me on Instagram. And like I said, Fight or Play Basketball. If people are listening to us, you can get the book on Hoopla. You can get it on Audible. And it's also on the Kindle. So if you're a Kindle subscriber, you can read basically for free. That would help me out. And when we do our show about the book, it'd be great if some of the people listening to us right now were to pick up the book and comment while we're doing the show. That'd be awesome. And I'm still painting. I still paint a lot. And
well, I just put this up here. I want people to see this. Mike Messier is the movie maker, an actor, director, author, artist, storyteller. I called him a quadruple threat last night. Now he's a centillion threat.
Right.
5?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like a disease.
What's the word for 5? He's a 5.
Cinco. Cinco. Cinco Dangeroso.
Man. Good stuff. It was a good show. I enjoy shows like
this was fun.
I really enjoy these kind of shows because we get a chance to not be so serious and cut loose a little bit. I enjoy that.
Yeah, this was good. It was good. Let me mention, if I could mention my honorable mentions real quick, just to give them a mention.
Absolutely, of course.
Renee Young, she's kind of, I'd say she's more on the favorable side. Craig DeGeorge and Sean Mooney, a couple of guys that I would have taken them over Michael Cole any day of the week. Magnum TA, I know that you've talked with him on podcasts before, and I think Magnum actually was a pretty good commentator after his unfortunate car accident. I did mention Bruno. I had Kevin Kelly and Bruno Sammartino down as well, and you talked about them. But there's a lot of people who have become the soundtrack to our wrestling enjoyment, and I think they're all, whether they're on the bad list, the good list, even a guy like Michael Cole, I give him credit for doing a tough job. You know what I mean? So I do give these people a lot of credit for the work.
And I wanted to and I made a point of saying that in earlier on, kudos to even, the guys that maybe aren't so good. Kudos for trying, for putting yourself out there. It's certainly not easy. It can't be easy having that kind of pressure on live television every week with God knows how many millions of people listening to your voice and watching you. There's got to be a level of like a stress that, the kind of stress where you want to have like a bottle next to you, so you take a little sip.
Right.
So, folks, we are here every Monday and Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at some point. I'm trying to get 3 days a week. Right now, our contract is for 2, so we're doing good there. You will see us, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. You'll see us on 2027 on Tubi TV. That looks like it's happening, and I'm waiting for the ink to dry on the paper. Think of what else we got, and that's going to be great to be part of the Fox News family. That's going to be a plus. I just wish everybody, a good rest of the week. Mikey and I, of course, we're out of here. Unless any major breaking news happens, and then we will go live in an instant, because we have the capability to do that. So in the meantime, like Papa DeCipio always said, tomorrow's promised to no one, so make today count. Be good to people. Be kind. For Mikey, the movie maker Messier, I am the Mad Dog. Be good. Be kind. Don't forget to rewind. Take care, Mikey. I'll see you around. You got it.